All right, before we get started, I just need to apologize to y'all for not doing this reaction sooner. Rudy Francisco is one of the goats of spoken word. He has multiple viral poems on YouTube, and I've never reacted to one of them. And I've been knowing this man. I've seen him live. I've been front row, watched him perform live, spoken to this man, shook his hand, and been like, yo, dude, you're a blessing, right? So I know this poet, you feel me? It's not like I don't know him. I don't know what happened. I just never got to react to the man for some reason. Regardless, it's about dang time, all right? In case some of you are unaware, this reaction is part of an ongoing series called The Greatest of Spoken Word, in which I react to and analyze some of the most viral pieces on YouTube and break down why exactly they went viral. This poem in particular that we're reacting to, called Complainers, Rudy has performed on the Jimmy Fallon show, and that's the exact version of the poem that we're gonna be reacting to. So not only did it blow up on YouTube, it really blew up on television. You see what I'm saying? So without further ado, let's get started.
Whenever I find myself complaining about the small things, I say to myself, the following are all true stories. May 26th, 2003, Aaron Ralston was hiking. A boulder fell on his right hand. He waited 4 days. Then he amputated his own arm with a pocket knife. On New Year's Eve, a woman was bungee jumping in Zimbabwe. The cord broke. She then fell into a river and had to swim back to land in crocodile-infested waters with a broken collarbone. Claire Champlin was smashed in the face by a 5-pound watermelon being propelled by a slingshot. Matthew Brobus was hit by a javelin. David Striegel was punched in the mouth by a kangaroo. The most amazing part of these stories is when asked about the experience, I heard they all said, I guess things could have been worse. So go ahead, tell me that you're having a bad day.
Ooh, okay. So let's just talk about that intro real quick, because he utilized a technique that he very much popularized in the spoken word community, and that is bringing up seemingly random details that end up becoming relevant to the actual point and message of the poem, right? So in this particular case, he was bringing up different tragic events that happened to various individuals, ultimately landing on the point that none of them complained. All of them said it could have been worse, which then transitions to the point of the poem, not complaining. You see what I'm saying? This is something that Rudy did not invent himself necessarily. There are other poets who have done it before him, certainly, but he really spearheaded this becoming a mainstream technique in the poetry community, you feel me? And I find it to be amazing every time. It's such a staple of Rudy's technique that I know it's coming, and it still blows my mind every single time, bro. All right? Just amazing. Let's keep going.
The most amazing part of these stories is when asked about the experience, I heard they all said, I guess things could have been worse. So go ahead. Tell me that you're having a bad day. Tell me about the traffic. Tell me about your boss. Tell me about the job you've been trying to quit for the past 4 years. Tell me the morning is a townhouse burning to the ground. Tell me the snooze button is a fire extinguisher. Tell me the alarm clock stole the keys to your smile, drove it into 7 a.m. and the crash totaled your happiness. Tell me. Tell me, how blessed are we to have tragedy so small it can fit on the tips of our tongues? When Evan lost his legs, he was speechless. When my cousin was assaulted, she didn't speak for 48 hours. When my uncle was murdered, we had to find a search party to find my father's voice. Most people have no idea that tragedy and silence often have the exact same address. So
Whoa! Hey. Most people don't know that tragedy and silence have the exact same address. Don't play with me. Don't play with me. Yo, this hits different. Rudy keeping it real. As usual. All right? This ain't nothing new for him. We know that. All right? Man, let's keep going.
That tragedy and silence often have the exact same address. So when your day is a museum of disappointments, hanging from events that were outside of your control, when you find yourself flailing in an ocean of why is this happening to me, when it feels like your guardian angel put in his 2-week notice 2 months ago and just decided not to tell you, when it feels like God is a babysitter that's always on the phone, when you get punched in the esophagus by a fistful of life, remember that every year 2 million people die of dehydration, so it doesn't matter if the glass is half full or half empty, there's water in the cup. Sometimes you just gotta drink it and stop complaining. You see,
preach.
You see, muscle Muscle is created by repeatedly lifting things that have been designed to weigh us down. So when your shoulders feel heavy, you gotta stand up straight. You gotta lift your chin. You gotta call it exercise. Remember that life is a gym membership with a really complicated cancellation policy. Remember that you will survive. Remember, things could be worse. Remember, we are never given anything that we can't handle. When the world crumbles around you, sometimes you gotta look at the wreckage and then build a new one out of all the pieces that are still here. Remember that you are still here. The human heart, it beats approximately 4,000 times per hour, and each pulse and each throb and each palpitation is a trophy engraved with the words, "You are still alive."
Ooh, preach.
You are still alive. We are still alive. Let's act like it.
Yeah.
Let's go, baby! Let's go! Let's go!
Yeah. Yo, shout out to Jimmy Fallon for putting my man on.
Rudy, Francisco, everybody.
Yup. Yeah, they buddies. They cool. Y'all saw that? He dapped him up.
Stores now.
And get that book, Helium. Get Helium. I actually did a review of Helium on my channel. Let me pause it real quick. I did a review of Helium and I'll Fly Away, which are the two poetry collections that he published through Budden Poetry. And oh my God, those are some of the best collections I've ever read. Definitely check it out. If anything, if you don't believe me that it's good, just watch my reviews. You'll see what I'm saying. They're kind of low quality in terms of like video production and whatnot, but the content is good. Trust me when I say that. Now, a couple other things I noticed about this poem was that he didn't just reserve the seemingly random facts to the intro like he has in some of his other poems. Instead, he actually included two more seemingly random facts throughout the poem. There was the one about muscle, help you support against the weight of yourself, the weight of your body, helping you stand straight and keep moving forward, right? At first, he brings up the fact about the muscle, and I'm like, okay, yeah, that's nice and all, but what does that have to do with anything? And then boom, it becomes relevant. And then after that, he brings up the fact about the heart, about how many times the heart beats per hour. And it's like, okay, there's another seemingly random fact. What does that have to do with anything? Oh, it's a reminder that we're still here. You see what I'm saying? That technique is something so potent, man. And you know when it's done right. It was done right here. You know what I'm saying? Ah, man, Rudy's something else. Now, another thing I want to mention about why it probably went viral is for the simple fact that he brought up people saying they've had bad days, people bringing up the traffic being bad, people bringing up how much they hate their job and the fact that they don't like their boss. You see what I'm saying? These are very common things that people complain about. And sure, they might not feel good, but if you look at the grand scheme of things, you got a job. Oh, rent is high, that sucks, but you have somewhere to live. You see what I'm saying? He's really helping put things into perspective, because when real tragedy hits, like he said, when tragedy happens, silence is often right there accompanied with it, because there's often not really words you can use to describe the pain you feel in true tragedy. You see what I'm saying? So this poem is really helping to put things into perspective. And I think that's another reason why this went viral. Another reason why I believe this poem went viral is a bit of a controversial one. So I'm gonna try to be careful in how I word it. Spoken word poets have the narrative of being a bunch of complainers, okay? I don't believe that narrative whatsoever, okay? I don't think the spoken word community is full of a bunch of complainers or anything like that. I do understand that there's a difference between lamenting and complaining, all right? Lamenting simply being expressing your grievances with something that's gone wrong, remaining in sorrow and collectively mourning something, right? These are good things that should be done in the poetry community, right? And I think a lot of times people get lamenting mixed up with complaining. With that being said, though, there are times where I'm like, okay, this is just a bunch of complaining. You see what I'm saying? Like, let's not get it twisted. Like I said, there's a difference between lamenting and complaining. But complaining when you hear it, and that does happen sometimes in the poetry community. Again, not as much as people make it out to be, not even close, but it does happen, right? So this was a wake-up call for a lot of spoken word poets, I can imagine, to restructure their poetry and how they go about addressing struggle. You see what I'm saying? Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed. I certainly did. I had a great time with this one. Man, this homeboy went in. What else is there to say, all right? So definitely check out more of his poems. I'm probably going to be reacting to more of them over time. So if you're into Rudy, definitely subscribe, like, comment, you know the drill. And I'm out. Peace.